The question is about ocean acidification. So far, are there any estimates on the amount of loss, say loss in productivity of sea produce, loss in whatever kind of loss, that can be quantified and tell our policymakers that, look, it's not just the land that we are suffering. We are also going to face a food crisis. We are not going to derive as much food as we used to from the sea if we still keep producing as much greenhouse gas as we do now. And so this is my first question. Are there any estimates? The second question is actually a suggestion that I think the organizer can make all of us in participating this conference a little bit more climate friendly if they can turn these two spotlights off, which I think is, I mean, we all know what this conference is all about. This is what I would call quite unnecessary spending of energy.
Yes. Thanks a lot. So please, let's shut down. Let's not make it totally dark, though, so we at least can see each other. But that's a good point. Will, do you want to respond?
Yeah, very, very good question. I don't know of any studies that have actually looked at what the drop in food productivity, in other words, fish, other crustaceans. But I do know of an economic study done on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia that of the total value of that reef to the Australian economy, which by and large is tourism, but also fishing and a few other industries. And I think it comes to, if I remember correctly, something like 60 or 70 billion Australian dollars a year. That's about the same as the US dollar these days. So it's actually a big part of the economy. And the estimate is by far most of that, the greatest fraction of that will be lost if that reef is largely converted into an algal community. That's the only one I know of. If someone may know about another part of the world where they've done such a study. But these are not insignificant features in the marine ecosystem.
Mm. Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, my question is less about the science and more about public opinion, particularly in the bigger emitting countries. There is a very coordinated and well-financed misinformation campaign or series of campaigns that are attacking the scientific community. And the response from the scientific community, at least that I've observed, has been very mature and humble. And I'm just curious if there's internal debate within the scientific community about attacking these attackers more aggressively, and what your true opinion is about their approach and the impact that you think that they're having on public opinion. Thank you.
Jim, would you like to say something about that? Perhaps also David, well, anyone in the panel, in fact. Jim?
Well, I think, as you probably observed, the scientists did not do an effective job of countering the charges that were made in the last couple of years, and that has had a very negative consequence in the sense that the public, at least in parts of the world, is less convinced about the reality of climate and global change than they were before. And it's very unfortunate, but and you can blame this in part on the fact that scientists in general are not great communicators, but also, frankly, it's not, they don't consider it their job, and it really isn't the job of a scientist in general. It's like a political campaign when one of the candidates unfairly attacks another one with what we might call swift boating, where they make up something which might have a big effect on the electorate. If the other candidate does not respond quickly and effectively, they can lose a lot of support. And unfortunately, that's what's happened. It's a case of where the basis for the criticisms was, frankly, non-existent. They would comb through reports several thousand pages long and find some questionable statements, as if this, which is completely expected. You're not going to be able to write reports several thousand pages long without having some questionable statements in them. and yet the community was not able to defend itself or did not succeed in defending itself. And it is mainly because scientists are spending 99% of their time trying to do science, not trying to understand communication. And the media didn't help, because the media gives undue time and press coverage and television time to people who don't have the credentials to really be making the criticism. But the public is not sufficiently scientifically literate that they can see the difference. So it's a very difficult situation, which is very unfortunate, because it is delaying the kind of actions which are so urgent. That, however, is one reason that I continue to look to China for being more rational. I don't see the Chinese leadership being affected by this type of popular discussion. I think they actually pay attention to the reality of our scientific understanding rather than this kind of thing in the media. And hopefully that will have an effect if China can choose a sensible path, and then the rest of the world, including the United States, sees that, well, they're going to fall behind if they don't also start moving very strongly toward a clean energy, low carbon economy, then that maybe we can overcome that kind of media thing. But what I'm saying is we haven't done very well, and I don't really see the solution to that media problem. Maybe someone else has a different suggestion.
Well, in fact, if I may, it's 4 o'clock, which is a drama in itself. And this was such a good answer that I think I won't let the rest of the panel even try to beat your answer there, Jim. So, because I'd really like to have one last chance for Hu Tao and Changhua Wu to take on the challenge that you've now twice posed, Jim, that China has the opportunity now to lead the way in responsible action, and lead the way also to show that it makes economic sense. Now, it would be wonderful to get your reflections. Will we see this happen over the next couple of years? I mean, everyone is expecting nothing from Cancun, perhaps even little from South Africa next year. We're seeing a situation in the US, which is, if anything, complicating the possibilities for action even further. Not very much is happening in Europe at this point, at least.